Hello there, I'm Nathalia Melo, your unfiltered fit BFF, mom of two turned CEO of a fitness empire. Someone who understands the struggles of trying to stay fit, sane, and sexy, all while juggling work, life, and motherhood. And this is the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast. Follow along wherever you're listening and join me weekly as I help busy working moms just like you simplify their fitness journey so they can lose weight, regain their confidence, and feel sexy AF. It's time to stop living in the what ifs and hiding from the cameras. It's time to regain control over your body, feel sexy naked, and wear a bikini confidently. People already see you as a super confident woman, but it's time for you to feel the same way too. Let's go. Hello there, fam. Welcome to another episode of the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast. I am Nathalia Melo, your host. Super excited to be here because we're going to be talking about a lot of fun, kind of fun stuff, but it's a bit of an epiphany come to Jesus moment that I had just a couple of days ago, actually yesterday. And I really wanted to talk about this on the podcast because I really believe that is going to help people see things from a different perspective. And what we're going to be talking about today is what if being busy is actually a superpower that most women have, and they are just not knowing how to use it. But before we get started on today's podcast, I want to give a shout out to our listeners who keep on leaving amazing reviews on the podcast platforms. We have reviews here. I have one on the Apple podcast that I want to read to you guys, because then hopefully that encourages you to also leave a review for us as well. And listen, I'm going to tell you, good or bad, you're not going to hurt my feelings, okay? I'm a big girl. I will survive. And chances are that I am having a glass of wine tonight, regardless of the reviews. With that being said, the goal is to make the podcast better, to talk about subjects that will make us think and will make us, try to see things from a different perspective. So let me read this review here real quick, and we're going to get a move on. Okay, so this one is from Christine MP. Thank you, Christine. She says, I love listening to these podcasts when I work out, helps me to stay in the right mindset. She is 100% honest without sugarcoating the truth. I also find Nathalia to be extremely empowering. Well, thank you very much. I hope, Christine, that as you're listening to this podcast, you are getting, all pumped up and getting swole, bro. But I appreciate, and another thing that you can do to help this podcast grow, we are almost at 2,000 downloads as of right now. So I really would like to ask you that the best thing that you can do to help me grow this platform, and your way of paying me for sharing my network of the amazing guests that we've been bringing on, and the time to share my thoughts here with you. The best way for you to pay me is share this with a friend, share in your social, tag me. I love when you guys tag me. So that is your way of helping a sister out. Anyway, so let's get to today's episode, which is we're going to talk about what if being busy is actually a superpower and not a curse. And we're just looking at it from the wrong lenses. The reason why I decided to record this podcast is kind of doing a self-analysis. And with the demographic that we work with very busy working women. The majority of them are moms, but we have a lot of ladies who are planning to start a family, not quite yet there, but with a lot on their plates, with a lot going on, and where time is scarce. It's not something that they have a lot of. And one thing that I keep on hearing is that they're busy, and that the reason why they cannot stick to a program or to something is because they are incredibly busy. And listen, I get it. I'm here. I have two kids. My kids are 14 months apart. I'm married. I'm running a business. We have a fairly, a decent sized team. I'm starting another business. There's going to be more on that soon. But as of right now, that's all you need to know. But, you know, I get it. Life is busy. But whenever I look back at my own life and at the time where all I had to do was work back when I was bartending. I just had to get ready to go bartend. And whenever you're bartending, your job normally starts when everybody else's job is ending. So I would have the whole day to just not do much. And the funny thing is, the more I had the time, the less I could accomplish because I was always waiting for the time to go to work, which was normally like, let's say 6 or 7 o'clock. And that was my whole day. And then we would get to like 5 or 6 o'clock and I had accomplished nothing. And I worked 3 jobs. Okay. Whenever I was getting ready for competitions, I was a personal trainer. I bartended and I also did work for a supplement company that I was working with at the time. And I was prepping for competitions. And everything happened. Everything got done. There was never kind of like not time to do something because one thing that I start to realize is that the less time you have, the more efficient you have to become with the time that you do have. And that is one of the characteristics that I see with our most successful members in the Powerhouse Academy, which is my coaching program, is that the ones who have a lot going on and who have very structured lives are the ones who get things done. And the reason for that is because you are not able to procrastinate. If you tell yourself that you are going to work out, let's say from 6 to 7 in the morning, and the rest of your day is filled, there is absolutely nothing that you can do to make up for missing that workout from 6 to 7. It needs to get done because if you don't do that, you cannot do it at any other time. And that's what I found, for example, whenever I was prepping and then whenever I had kids and whenever my second child came along and whenever I started doing the business, just to give you guys a little bit of a background, whenever I started to take it more seriously was around the time that we moved to the United States. Chloe, my daughter, was 9 months old, and Nico, my son, was just under 2. And my husband was working 14 hours a day. Like his schedule was nuts. And we didn't have much help here. And quite honestly, we didn't even have a lot of money to hire help. So I had to do what I could with the time that I had. So what I used to do is I would go to the gym, and the gym that we found had childcare. So the childcare in the gym allowed for 2.5 hours for the kids to be there. So what I would do is I would work out for an hour and then I would take the remainder of the time to work in the cafe in the gym. So I knew that that hour of work needed to happen because if it didn't happen then, chances are that it was not going to happen until it was nap time. But for nap time, I had already planned other things that I was going to do. And if it didn't happen at that time, chances are that it was not going to happen at all. So there is actually a law for that. What is it called? It's kind of like that same idea that whenever you have a brand new tube of toothpaste, chances are that you're just going to put as much as possible and you're going to waste all of it. But whenever you don't have a lot left of that toothpaste, chances are that you're going to be more mindful of how you use that because you know that you don't have a lot of. And it's the same thing with time. So now, why is it that so many people struggle with finding a strategy that makes their busyness and how busy their lives are? Why do so many people struggle to make that busyness a superpower instead of something that actually pulls them back and holds them back? I have a theory on that, and I'm welcome to be challenged on that. However, I think that with the amount of time that I have been coaching and with the women that we work with, especially right now, this has been a common denominator that I have been seeing time and time again. And the reason that they struggle to see being as busy as they are as a superpower is because they are holding on to the strategy that they used to do when their lives looked differently, when they had more time. So to fill out the time because they weren't as busy, they had a plan or a strategy to get in shape, to be fit, to stay on track with their fitness. They used a strategy that used more time. Going back to that law that I'm talking about, it's going to drive me crazy that I can't remember, that the more time you have, the more time you're going to use. So now in a different season of life, they try to use that same plan, that same strategy that does not align with where they are right now. A good analogy that I think we can use is, and then these women feel like a failure. They're like, oh my God, I fucking suck because, I am successful and I'm so busy and I have all these things going on for me, yet I cannot even stay committed or get motivated to show up to do something that I know it's important to me. But what if it wasn't a matter of commitment or motivation? How the hell are you going to be committed to a plan that you already know that is not going to work for you? Because chances are you have tried 500 times before. How are you going to stay committed to that plan? How are you going to stay motivated? Although I have a whole thought process on motivation, which I think it's really bullshit. But how are you going to stay, have that spark to wake up every single day, to follow a strategy that right out of the gate, that does not work for the life that you have? Because chances are you've tried that same strategy since you've become busier 500 million times and you fail time and time again. And in the back of your mind, you're starting, but you're already starting from a place of feeling like you're a failure. Oh, I'm a failure because I can stick with it. But what if the problem is not you? The problem is the strategy that you're using to accomplish the end goal. And a good analogy, like I was saying previously, that we can use is, imagine giving, let's say, I don't know, Serena Williams instructions and a plan on how to use a golf club. Hey, so here's how you hold the golf club and how you swing. And this is what it's going to look like. Yeah, like golf and tennis might have some kind of crossovers, but they're not the same thing. Serena Williams does one thing. So she needs a plan for that one thing that she does. And whoever plays golf needs the instruction for the golf. So trying to use the best strategies and the best plan from golf for your life now or for what you're trying to accomplish now is not going to work. And you cannot, for example, back to my analogy, judge Serena Williams' competence or motivation or discipline or skill when she's receiving the wrong instruction that does not serve what she's trying to accomplish. Because if what you are to accomplish is to get in shape in a way that doesn't require you to be hours on end in the gym, that doesn't require you to stop eating all carbs, that doesn't require you to be the dickhead that goes to a birthday party and doesn't have a slice of cake with your friends or family, not because you make the active choice of, no, I don't want, but it's because you think that you're quote unquote not allowed to. If you don't want the cake, that's fine. But my belief, and I can go on a tangent on this, is that it shouldn't be something that you are allowed or not allowed to do. It should be something that you have the education and you get to make the choice whether you want it or not. So how are you going to go to the instructions that you already know that don't align with what your end goal is of having a fit life in a way that doesn't get in the way of you living life. It doesn't have to be that one or the other. So having a plan and a strategy and instructions that align with your busy life will make you a lot more compliant and a lot more likely to stay consistent, not feel like a failure, and get results. And you being busy becomes a superpower because you already know that you can accomplish amazing goals, because chances are that you're very successful in your career, that, you have been successful in other aspects of life. If you have been fit at some point in life before, you know that you are capable of being back there. But now you're trying to use a hammer on a school project that requires a screwdriver. So what if being busy can become your superpower by finding the strategy that fits around the busy life that you have, so that there is not even an option of you telling yourself that you're not going to do it, because you already know that you are going to be able to do it, because that strategy works for the life that you have. So I am a big believer. And this is funny because since becoming a mom, I have become, despite my ADHD, which makes you rather inefficient with your time more times than not, I have found that becoming a mom has made me a lot more efficient with my time, because I know that I don't have a lot off. So if something is on my schedule, I know that it needs to get done, because chances are that if it doesn't get done at that time, it's not going to get done at all. And the reality is that you are going to believe what you keep on telling yourself, and you keep on convincing yourself that is true. So the more you tell yourself that you're busy and you can't do it, guess what's going to happen? The more you're going to believe that you're so busy that you can't do it. So instead of telling yourself that you're so busy that you can't do it, what if we start going a different route and being like, I am just so busy, and being busy is my superpower, because there is no way that I can miss it, because my busy schedule is holding me accountable to the time that I have to show up. And the reality is that being busy means that you're probably giving yourself to everybody else around you, be that your work, your spouse, your kids, 24/7. So having that time to work on you for you almost becomes a break and an acknowledgement that you are caring for you so that you can care for others. But whenever you're using the wrong plan, whenever you're using a plan that does not align with the life that you have, you start to fade away, and you start to miss a workout here, because, there is no way that with your busy schedule that you're going to be able to spend 2-3 hours in the gym. But that's the only way you know how to stay in shape. So it becomes that what comes first, the egg or the chicken. And then you start to slip away from having a goal. And one day you wake up and you find yourself in a place that you never even thought that you were going to be. And then it's like, holy fuck, how the hell did this happen? That is one of the things that I hear every single woman tell me whenever I'm asking them, okay, when was the last time you felt your best? And they tell me, and I'm like, did you ever think that you were going to be here right now? I am yet to hear one woman tell me, I had no idea that I was going to get to the point where I am right now. So it is something that happens right before our eyes, and it doesn't become a reality until we are faced with life situations that makes us analyze, holy shit, yeah. You catch yourself avoiding pictures. You catch yourself not wanting to be intimate with your partner because, you don't want to be naked. Be that canceling a family vacation because you don't want to wear a swimsuit. And trust me, these are all things that I have heard from women. And a lot of these women are women that at some point in life have been, confident, comfortable in their bodies and things like that, which then brings me to the second part of being busy, being your superpower. And now, which then leads to loss of confidence. And then a lot of people think, this was the epiphany that I had yesterday. A lot of people think that they lose their confidence because they have gotten out of shape. What if that's not the order of events? And again, you don't have to agree with me, but I just want to give you this food for thought because whenever I was like thinking about this, I'm like, holy shit, that's what I'm seeing with my ladies. That's what I saw with me. What if living in a body that you're uncomfortable in is not what leads to the lack of confidence? What if the lack of confidence comes from not living in alignment with your goals, not showing up to do the work when you told yourself that you were going to, not sticking to a nutrition plan that you told yourself that you were going to? That is slowly is going to chip away your confidence. And the more your confidence gets chipped away, the more likely you are to stop pursuing that goal. And whenever you stop pursuing that goal and you stop giving a shit, you are going to end up gaining weight, giving up the gym, or like just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something stick. So being unhappy about the way that you look and the way that you feel becomes a byproduct of the loss of confidence instead of the losing confidence being a byproduct of not liking the way you look because let's say you gained weight, you lost muscle mass, or you had a child and since you've given birth, your body looks different, your time looks different, your schedule looks different, or you've gone through menopause and you might be a bit more tired, so some days you don't want to work out, or people keep on telling you that just because of age you're automatically going to gain weight, and then you believe that narrative and then you stop following through with things that align with your goal. So confidence ultimately is when people keep on acting in a way that is not aligned with what their ultimate goal. So do you see how everything almost like becomes a chain of events? So it starts with a change of life. Okay. So you used to have all this time. So you could fill that time with hours in the gym, and you maybe didn't have a family, or you didn't have a spouse, or you were in a different season of life where your life wasn't as demanding. So you could, give all the time and attention to your fitness goals. And then life happens. And instead of having X amount of time and X amount of capacity to pay attention to that one thing, you now just have half X. The only way you know how to achieve that goal is with X amount of time and X amount of energy. So, and you keep on trying to stick to that plan that we already know that doesn't align with the life that you have. So you have a goal, and the vehicle that you're using to get to that goal, it's inefficient, which means that you're going to keep on giving up in the process of achieving that goal because the vehicle that you're using is inefficient. And you already know that it's very unlikely to get you to that ultimate goal because chances are you probably have tried 500 million times. And then you stop living in alignment with your goals because of that. And with that, you lose your confidence. And then the byproduct of that is that because you lost your confidence, you're just like, whatever, man, fuck it. Until shit hits the fan, something happens that you're like, oh, I need to get my shit together. Be that because of your health, or be that because you realize that life is too freaking short to live in a body that you are unhappy about, or be that because you are seeing that same cycle being repeated with your children. And then you think that the loss of confidence comes from not being where you want to be physically, but when in reality, what got you there is because you lost confidence in the process of achieving your goal because you're using an effective vehicle to get there. And that's something that I see a lot and I speak a lot about whenever I am talking to our members is that, especially whenever we're talking about a woman, okay? I can speak about women because that's what I am and that's what I work with. So if you're a man and you get salty about what I'm talking about, I don't give a fuck. Anyhow, so listen, I'm projecting. Okay. I'm talking about what I experienced. And from my experience, that's something that I've seen a lot of women experience too. So going from being somebody who, had a level of control on my body, on my schedule, when things are going to happen, and then you get pregnant. I don't know how much you know about pregnancy, okay? You ain't got control of shit. Nothing. Zero. And I have another episode with Dr. Aparna Iyer and also with Dr. Carrie Pagliano. I'll highly recommend you watching those episodes because these are some topics that we talk about there. Anyway, pregnancy is not something that you can control. You control what you can control, which is very little. And then you go on and you have the baby and you're like, whoa, that's it. I got it. I'm going to go back to what I know myself as. And then the baby's like, cute. The fuck you are. You have no schedule. You still have very little control over your body, especially if you are, breastfeeding, because there is still things that you cannot eat, things that you cannot drink. If you want to take a pre-workout, you can't. So there is that lack of control. And then there is the lack of, and I'm going to sound horrible for saying this, so forgive me, but there is the lack of liberty. Because for somebody, like I was a very independent person, I just came and go as I went before I had kids. And after you have kids, it's not just like, later, I'm out. Bye, bitches. No, there is a whole event that needs to happen for you to just go to the grocery store. That feels out of control. And then you look at your body, which is something that you have always had control. And that is also out of control because you don't really know how to operate in this new life that you're in. So it's kind of like, yes, I'm happy for everything that is happening with me, but I want to at least regain control of that one thing that gives me a sense of self. And that's one thing that is ultimately, that's the only thing that I can influence. I cannot really influence like 100% how much a child is going to sleep. I cannot 100% control what my husband is going to eat. And even as you age, you cannot control when, if, how, at what time, at what age, menopause, perimenopause is going to happen. So there are constant events. And then you add a career on top of that. If you have a very demanding job where you're answering to a lot of people or you have a lot of people working under you, that is like more control that you're losing over yourself. And that can become very overwhelming. And it makes women feel hopeless because as they are being pulled in all directions, it feels that there is nothing left of them for themselves. And then it becomes that, oh, because I'm too busy. Yes, you're busy. And things are not working out because your life is looking different right now. And you keep on going back to how things were 500 years ago. And it's just going to build more frustration. And it's only going to make you live a life that is not aligned with the goal. Because yes, a lot of women want to get in shape, but a lot of them want to get in shape in a way that aligns with the life that they have now. A travel schedule, kids, a husband, being able to go on a date night, being able to travel and not blow up, being able to have a glass of wine if they want to, being able to go to a birthday party with their kids. Going back to what you did before, chances are that it's not going to align with your ultimate goal. So you're not living in alignment. And that's why you lose your confidence and you lose control. And that's why I believe, from my perspective as a coach, why so many women are struggling. So to wrap it up, here are some tips that I would give if you have resonated with anything that I have said here, I think that tip number one would be to be very clear on what your goal is. Because it's very hard to pick a medium to get to that goal if you don't even know what it is. And I'm talking about expanding on that goal. I'm not just talking about, I want to lose 20 pounds or I want to have a six pack. Okay. You want to lose 20 pounds? Cool. Awesome. Do you want to lose 20 pounds while also spending 2 hours, 3 hours in the gym? Oh, no. Okay. So your goal is to lose 20 pounds without having to spend hours in the gym. Got it. Do you want to lose 20 pounds? And listen, I'm using 20 pounds just as an example. Do you want to lose 20 pounds with eating out of a Ziploc bag or, not having any social life or removing everything that brings you joy to your life? Is that how you want to lose the 20 pounds? Hell no. Okay. So your goal is to lose 20 pounds without hours in the gym and without being fucking miserable and eating nothing but lettuce and ice cubes. Got it. Do you see how there is a lot more clarity whenever we start to not only create the goal, but also understand that that goal is not going to come at all costs, because there are some things that you're not willing to compromise, which is spending hours in the gym and eating out of a Ziploc bag or eating a miserable diet. Cool. So that's one, clarity on what your goal is. Number two is what you are doing now or the things that you have done up until now for however long you have been trying to accomplish your goals. Have they aligned with the ultimate goal that you have that we talked about, number one? And I'm not just talking about losing the 20 pounds. It's the whole thing. So is what you're doing right now aligned with what your ultimate goal is? If the answer is no, I can tell you right now that you are not going to stop this cycle. You're just not. And number three is, do you believe that you are worthy of becoming the person that you need to be to have the results that you want? Because that is actually something that has absolutely blown my mind, is the amount of women that don't even believe that they're worthy of getting that end result. And that's something that I had to kind of like take a step back as a coach and even ask the question. There have been several times that I'm like, do you think you're worthy of this outcome? Because if you do not believe that you're worthy, if you do not believe that you can, if you do not believe that there is something out there that can help you, it does not matter what you do. The outcome is certain. You are going to fail. Period. That you are going to fail if you do not believe that you are worthy of that outcome. So these are all things that you can do within yourself so that you can take that next step that is really going to begin change, which is to ask for help. Ask for help from people that have been in the same place that you've been. Start small. It doesn't have to go right out of the gate and signing up for a class that is like 10 times a week, morning, afternoon, and dinner, and you're going to fail that way too. But whenever you have clarity on what your goal is, and if what you're doing right now aligns with what your goals are, because we already established that it's not just about the goal itself, but what you're willing to sacrifice or not sacrifice to accomplish that goal. And number three, have an honest conversation with yourself. Do you think that you can get that outcome? Do you think that you are worthy of that outcome? And this sounds like a crazy question, but I promise you, as you start to kind of like ask yourself, you are going to realize that a lot of the things that have been holding you back is your lack of belief in yourself. So until you believe that you can, you're not going to be able to. And on that note, with this little homework for you, I am going to be wrapping up. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast today. I hope this was insightful and helpful. I know that it was like more a little bit of mindset work and things like that, but I really think that change can only begin when we are willing to talk about these difficult conversations and change the narrative and change the lies that we have been telling ourselves as to why we cannot do something, why we cannot accomplish something. If we flip the narrative and start to see things from a different perspective, that is when real change starts to happen. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much for listening. I can't wait to talk to you next week. And don't forget to leave that review, to share this with your friends if you found that this episode was amazing. I would love for you to do that. And I will see you next time. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. But let me ask you, what was your aha moment in today's episode? I would love to know. You can leave me a comment or voice message at the link in the show description. You can also follow me on Instagram and let me know what topics you want to hear more about or who I should have on the show. As for today, this is it for today, guys. I'll see you back next week for another episode of the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast.